anything ever happening like this.
Dan Rivera, a lead investigator for the New England Society for
Netflix reality star dies while touring with haunted Annabelle doll. Who is Dan Rivera and what really happened? Dan Rivera, a name familiar to many paranormal fans, especially those who followed Netflix's 28 Days Haunted, has tragically passed away. His death has sent shockwaves through the paranormal investigation community and raised fresh questions about the dangers of working with allegedly haunted objects, specifically the infamous Annabelle doll. Dan wasn't just a reality TV personality. He was a seasoned investigator, a teacher, and a guardian of the Warrens' legacy. He was also the senior lead investigator with the New England Society for Psychic Research, NESPR, the same organization founded by the legendary Ed and Lorraine Warren back in 1952. Now, Dan's passing is not just a tragic moment in the paranormal community. It's become a focal point for renewed speculation around Annabelle, the demonic doll that inspired the Conjuring universe and has terrified millions around the world. Let's dive into who Dan Rivera was, how his death unfolded, the history of the Annabelle doll, and the eerie connection between the two that's left believers and skeptics alike asking, was this just a coincidence or something more? Who is Annabelle? Annabelle is one of the most infamous haunted objects in the world, made famous by the real-life investigations of Ed and Lorraine Warren and later immortalized in the Conjuring movie universe. Unlike the porcelain doll seen in films, the real Annabelle is a raggedy and doll believed to be possessed by a demonic entity, not the spirit of a child, as originally thought. The doll allegedly moved on its own, left disturbing messages, and attacked those who disrespected it. Now kept in a blessed glass case at the Warren Occult Museum, Annabelle continues to be a chilling symbol of the unknown and a warning about the dangers of engaging with the supernatural. Dan Rivera, guardian of the paranormal legacy. Dan Rivera was far more than just a Netflix personality. He spent over a decade with NESPR, starting in 2011, where he was mentored directly by Lorraine Warren herself. After her passing in 2019, Dan continued her mission, educating the public, conducting investigations, and preserving the authenticity of the Warrens' infamous occult museum. He played a critical role in overseeing artifacts that the Warrens claimed to have retrieved from real hauntings and possessions, most famously, Annabelle. Dan believed not just in documenting paranormal events, but in doing so with responsibility. He was known for his calm demeanor, in-depth research, and sincere respect for the spiritual dangers he and others often faced. When rumors went viral in 2020 suggesting that Annabelle had escaped from the Warren Museum, Dan was one of the first to address the speculation head-on. In a video statement, he clarified that the doll had not gone missing or been stolen. It was still safely housed and, when required, moved with extreme care and safety protocols. Dan became a bridge between the older generation of paranormal researchers and a new audience drawn in through streaming services, social media, and immersive live experiences. The Devil's on the Run tour. Annabelle hits the road. In recent months, Dan took on an ambitious new project, the Devil's on the Run tour. This nationwide paranormal tour featured lectures, live storytelling, and perhaps most disturbingly, the physical transportation of the actual Annabelle doll. The tour stopped in cities across the U.S., including one of the most famously haunted locations in the country, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Gettysburg, the site of one of the bloodiest battles in American history, is known for its deep paranormal activity. Ghost tours and psychic investigations are commonplace there, and for Dan and his team, it made sense to bring Annabelle to such a spiritually charged environment. Annabelle, locked safely in her glass case and handled with great care, was displayed as part of a presentation meant to educate and caution the public about the dangers of meddling with cursed objects. Dan, as always, approached the event with both passion and professionalism, but it was during this leg of the tour that tragedy struck. Dan Rivera's sudden death in Gettysburg. According to reports from the Evening Sun, and confirmed by Decider, Dan Rivera was staying at a hotel in Gettysburg as part of the tour. Emergency services were called to his location, but despite their efforts to revive him, Dan was pronounced dead at the scene. The exact cause of death remains unclear and is currently under investigation. No foul play has been officially confirmed, but in the world of paranormal speculation, certainty often takes a backseat to mystery. For many, the timing and circumstances of Dan's Dan's passing feel too eerie to ignore. Here was a man deeply involved with one of the most notorious haunted artifacts in existence, passing away unexpectedly while on tour with it, in a famously haunted town. The coincidence is hard to dismiss, even for those with skeptical minds. Who, or what, is Annabelle? To understand why Dan's death has stirred such intense speculation, we have to revisit the legend of Annabelle. Annabelle is one of the most infamous items in the Warrens' occult museum. Contrary to what the Conjuring movies show, the real Annabelle is not a porcelain doll but a simple Raggedy Ann doll. However, its history is no less terrifying. According to Ed and Lorraine Warren, the doll was gifted to a nursing student in the 1970s. Soon, strange things began happening. The doll allegedly moved on its own, left handwritten notes, and even attacked people who mocked it. A psychic medium claimed that the doll was possessed by the spirit of a deceased girl named Annabelle Higgins, but the Warrens disagreed. They believed the spirit was actually a demon masquerading as a child in order to eventually possess a human host. The doll was confiscated and sealed inside a blessed glass case in their museum, where it remained until recent years when it was occasionally brought out under strict safety protocols for educational tours. Annabelle's legend grew into something of a cultural phenomenon, bolstered by the Conjuring and Annabelle films. But for Dan Rivera and others at NESPR, Annabelle was no Hollywood prop. It was a serious and potentially dangerous artifact. Was Dan Rivera's death connected to Annabelle? Naturally, Dan's sudden death has ignited discussion and debate in the paranormal world. Was it a tragic coincidence? Or could something darker be at play? While there's no official medical report confirming anything supernatural, the timing is undeniably unsettling. Dan had safely handled Annabelle for years and had gone to great lengths to ensure her secure transportation. He respected the artifact's history and the warnings that came with it. But Gettysburg isn't just any stop on the map. Many believe it's one of the most spiritually active places in the US, and combining Annabelle with such a location might have stirred energies beyond what even seasoned investigators could predict. Some in the paranormal community suggest Dan may have let his guard down, even momentarily, or that the act of touring with Annabelle, removing her from her sanctified case and exposing her to different spiritual environments, might have provoked something. Others insist it was purely a natural event, albeit a tragic one. Dan was under constant travel stress, working long hours, and carrying the emotional weight of the Warren legacy. Regardless of belief, the narrative has taken root online, with fans and followers drawing connections and deepening the mythos of Annabelle. A legacy cut short, but not forgotten. NESPR released a heartfelt statement following Dan's passing. Dan truly believed in sharing his experiences and educating people on the paranormal. His kindness and passion touched everyone who knew him, the organization wrote. His death marks not just the end of a career, but a deep loss for a community that continues to walk the line between skepticism and belief. Dan was not someone chasing fame. He was deeply committed to the truth of the paranormal, whatever it may be. He mentored young investigators, debunked rumors, and brought a human face to a field often clouded by superstition and fear. And now, ironically, he has become part of the very legend he worked so hard to preserve and demystify. Final thoughts. What Dan's death means for the paranormal world. The paranormal field has always walked a fine line between belief and science, fear and curiosity. Dan Rivera stood in the middle of that divide, respectful of the unknown but always working to understand it better. His death during the Devils on the Run tour has reignited conversations about cursed objects, spiritual boundaries, and what happens when we push too far into the other side. Whether or not Annabelle had anything to do with it will remain a matter of personal belief. But one thing is certain, Dan Rivera's legacy will continue to influence and inspire investigators, storytellers, and paranormal enthusiasts for years to come. And in that way, perhaps Dan's mission is still alive. Rest in peace, Dan Rivera. You walked among legends, and now you are one.